course, ironically, if you listen to the mainstream media, it's Russia and China that are the most aggressive, most threatening forces in the world, even though the US is by far the biggest military force in the world. I mean, the US has over 900 foreign military bases and spends more than 1.5 trillion on the military per year, according to research from the Tricontinental Institute. So that might be a little bit of a different figure than some people might say, but the US also pushes its allies to increase their military spending, and that is happening across NATO countries. So the difference between what's happening now and you is that you're standing as a president that is pledging to cut military spending by 50 to 75% and ensure a just transition that replaces military jobs with Green New Deal jobs. Could you expand a little bit on that and explain what that's about?
Yes. So on the first day of our administration, we will recognize that we are in a climate emergency. By using those words, climate emergency, we actually then unleash over $500 billion every year to deal with that emergency. And the Green New Deal is the plan for dealing with that emergency. We basically create millions of jobs, good jobs, union jobs, well-paying jobs to ensure that no worker is left behind. And in fact, this is an advantage to the economy, creating more jobs and jobs that are good for workers, good for the local environment, good for the communities in which these jobs exist, so that they are not polluting. They don't destroy the water supply, unlike fracking, which draws down on our aquifers and our scarce water in the age of climate change and grave drought, especially here in this country, in the Southwest, in a lot of fracking country. We have water shortages, and fracking draws down on massive quantities of that water and pollutes it and renders it essentially unusable. So we would be putting all of this on a sound, healthy, and sustainable footing and transitioning workers out of military industries, out of fossil fuel, out of nuclear, out of all the unsustainable industries that are contributing to the climate crisis, and moving those workers into jobs in key industries that are the pillars of a sustainable, just, and peaceful green economy. So that means in energy, we're moving to solar, wind, geothermal efficiencies, weatherizing our homes and businesses and schools and so on. So lots of jobs there. We also move to public and renewably powered transportation. Electric vehicles are great, but they're not a cost-effective way to solve this problem. If we're really going to solve the crisis of transportation, it needs to be solved with a high-quality public transportation system, which we can build within cities and then cross-continental rail system. And we need housing, which is built in conjunction with transportation so that we're not adding. And in fact, we can then remove and phase out essentially the single person automobile traffic that creates such a mess out of our communities and our air and our climate. So housing is a third piece, and then agriculture is a fourth major piece. We need sustainable regenerative agriculture and organic agriculture, which is truly sustainable in the crisis of the climate and uses much less water. We need a sustainable agriculture system, not the one that we have, which is extremely inefficient, is exhausting our water supplies and our topsoil and polluting it and polluting the food with pesticides and so on. So we can do a much better job in those four key industries, and the Green New Deal and the climate emergency and the $600 billion per year is how we jumpstart this and make all that happen. Some of these industries also need to be brought into public ownership, management, and planning, because you're not going to have a rational rail system without public ownership. Currently, our rail system is extremely chaotic and uncoordinated. I mean, as is our energy system and everything else. So there are certain key industries where the public needs to be in control, and the planning needs to involve the public, involve our communities, and to be transparent and accountable rather than driven by top dollar, which is kind of the current way of the world in our current economic system.